So we're going to get ahead and get started with our first presenter today, which is Rebecca from NOC Stat. And Rebecca, you're from Tampa area, right?
Yep, I live in Clearwater, Florida.
Great. I was in Tampa for 22 years and go down there and visit the office. Beautiful area. We love it down there. So welcome to 1 Million Cups for Pensacola. You can go ahead and get started and we'll take it from there.
All right, great.
Rebecca, it's all yours.
Well, good morning, everybody. And it's interesting because this is my first time actually having a meeting for Pensacola, which means I have to go Central Time. So it's a little, crazy for a Floridian who's used to East Coast time. So again, thank you so much. My name is Rebecca Paone. I'm the founder and CEO of NOC Stat and NOC Stat, which means Nurse on Call. We are an on-demand caregiving application. I have all of our social media there on the first screen. My contact information, but I also will have my contact information at the end of our program here. So how many of you, since I can actually see all your screens, how many of you have actually caregived for a loved one? So grandmother, parent, some other family member where you were actually providing caregiving one-on-one for somebody? Any children? Have you guys had any children that you've had to take care of? Things like that. This is probably going to be a similar story than most, but my family has been taking care of my dad who had an ischemic and hemorrhagic stroke back in 2012. And our family has gone through every single possible scenario, I think, on what can happen during caregiving. So I want you to meet Maria. If this would go to the next screen. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. I want you to meet Maria. Maria is our avatar, our basic target market. She's part of the sandwich generation. She's between the ages of 30 to 60 years old. She has dependent children in her home, and she also is taking care of a disabled adult loved one. She's a working professional, and she's also going to be financially at risk if she has to leave her job to take care of that loved one on a regular basis. She's tried traditional in-home care agencies already. There's a lot of issues that come with that. It takes time to set up an in-home care agency relationship, in addition to actually booking an in-home care person. And like hiring anybody, you're going to have your traditional no-call, no-shows, tardiness, late because of transportation issues, inaccurate matching because they don't have the skills or the ability to do what they need to do as a caregiver in your home, and a litany of other things. The thought process of putting that family member into a nursing facility is not going to be an affordable option, nor is it really desired because about 90% of seniors want to actually age in place. So really, Maria is struggling with this whole work-life balance, and she needs a solution to make it more affordable and realistic with her timelines on things that may happen in her life. NOC Stat is basically, in the Reader's Digest terms, Uber meets Rover for human caregiving. We are a two-sided marketplace gig application, just like Uber, Lyft, Rover, things like that, where you can hire a skilled or non-skilled care professional, which means companion care, somebody who sits with you, to a CNA, to an RN, or to a respiratory therapist or speech occupational or physical therapist. We do flat hourly based rate on your care level. You can have our system use it on demand like you would for hiring an Uber, or you can book your appointments in advance through the system. We actually, as a company, do a more extensive background check than what the state of Florida mandates traditional in-home agencies do. You'd be kind of shocked of how limited their background check actually is. Ours actually will go back 7 years through all 50 states internationally. So they do a federal national background check, sexual predator check. And if they apply and they're from a state that has an elder abuse list and they've been convicted, we would be able to pick that up as well. Through our application, you actually have complete control on who you hire that comes into your home. And that care provider comes to you, whether that's in the home of your loved one, or it could be at a daycare facility if you use an adult daycare facility to have that one-on-one, or a traditional assisted living facility or nursing care facility, which about 60% of families actually hire somebody at least once a week to come into an assisted living facility to look after a loved one with needing more care. And all of our billing is completed through the application. You're not waiting for your last minute invoicing on a monthly basis from these in-home care providers. So through a gig economy, what we actually do are bringing together care providers and patients and families through our application. Our care providers do have the ability to have that work-life balance of being able to have flexibility and make at least $15 an hour based off of our split. Families and patients can plan ahead or adapt to those care emergencies where you need to find somebody pretty quickly to help you out with taking care of grandma or mom or dad. And our application actually does save you time and money compared to other solutions because of that process where it takes time to qualify, process, schedule, and hope that somebody shows up. Our unique selling proposition, our USP, basically we are, and I hate to use the term, but the Uber for caregiving. We do have competitors in the marketplace that say that they're Uber of caregiving, but they're actually just a marketing site for assisted living facilities and in-home care companies. They're really not that fast. We do provide that extensive background check, like I mentioned before. We also do personality profile testing. The personality profile testing makes sure that we actually have a good bonding experience between our care provider and the end user patient. The flat rate care level pricing is also a highly desired thing because you now know exactly what you're paying for at the time. It's going to be much more affordable, flexible, and a dependable person that's going to be coming, and it's hyper local. So you're not getting somebody who's driving over 30 miles away. You're getting somebody who's going to probably be about 5 miles from your home or less, so they can get there faster than pizza delivery. And we take a position of advocating for the patients. Like I said before, our other competitors are really marketing sites for those traditional agency structures. Let's talk a little bit about the care industry itself. There's two sides of it. There's the professional side, which we actually know the numbers pretty well, about almost $100 billion in revenue, of which most of it is going to be for home health or nursing care. And then a little bit of that market is actually the personal or homemaker care, what we call companion care. Over 2 million people are employed in the industry currently, and COVID is probably actually going to change that prediction where it's currently at 5% growth, and this number was from 2019. I'm expecting a predicted growth in professional side of the industry to about 7 or 8% because everybody realized how badly we have healthcare needs. 10.1% of the industry is private pay, so about $10 billion a year are floating around to different companies, and no one company actually has more than 1% market share. Now, the other side is the unpaid free family care, the ones who are the ones taking care of somebody every single day without getting a dime in their pocket. And most of those people are going to be working Americans already, 26.3 million workers, and there's actually over 53 million total caregivers, 1 in 5 adults in the United States. With 69% of them actually having to rearrange their entire schedule or possibly taking off time, it takes a big hit to most companies where we're actually reducing our GDP and output. So if we were actually to support family caregivers and give them options, we can actually increase work productivity and possibly change our GDP output to 1.7 trillion in 2030. Our go-to-market strategy for NOC is to actually go for the care providers first. We're looking at nursing schools. We're going to be putting together job board advertisements like on Indeed and Glassdoor, social media marketing campaigns, referrals from companies that we already network with, traditional marketing mix, and networking within our senior healthcare groups that are here in the area. For families and patients, how we're going to get them to adopt our application is work with our competitors. You may think that working with our competitors is the wrong way to go, but we think it's the right way to go because we're filling in that gap of the emergency care where we can find somebody faster and less expensive than a traditional home care agency, which usually takes at least 48 hours to find somebody and book them. And if you only hire them for a few hours, you're paying usually double the price per hour. We keep that flat rate. We make it much more affordable. And they can still keep their customer, but I'm pretty sure they'll switch over to us. Case management and social workers are usually the top of mind marketing company representatives for us because they're talking to people every single day about their discharge from hospitals or long-term care situations, along with our traditional social media marketing mix and regular traditional marketing mix, and also other outside referrals. How we generate revenue, it's a 25% transaction fee straight off the top. We don't charge any additional fees. That's not what our structure wants to be. We want complete transparency. So if they are getting basic care level companion care, $20 an hour, that's a great opportunity for somebody who's like a high school student, college student. And then our top level care level is about $53 an hour, and that's for respiratory therapy care. We expect our care level 1, care level 2 to be about 85% of transactions, which that's your people like CNAs who come into the home, will do toileting, hygiene, things like that, getting them dressed. And then our typical companion care, which would be able to serve them a meal, help a little bit of cleaning and sit with them throughout the day. We also will be making revenue from our annual background checks and credentialing, because we do those annually. And we also have branded merchandise in our marketing plan, so people can actually feel proud that they work for our company. Our main expenses right now are going to be our IT development. We already have a budget set up for that. We are pre-revenue and pre-build, but we already have all of our requirements together. We do need legal and insurance assistance with getting our terms of agreement and all that good stuff together, making sure we're compliant with the state of Florida as a two-sided marketplace, not a traditional agency. We also need funds to have our go-to-market strategy, and obviously carrying costs until we're completely profitable, which would be about month 16 on our plan. So our revenue goal, we're going to start in the Tampa Bay region since we have our niche here and our networking, and then we'll expand to the rest of the state of Florida over the next 12 months with plans to grow internationally and nationally. And we're to kind of give you an idea, and this is a very conservative number. The average transaction of all transactions together will be about $24 an hour. We are wanting families to leverage about 8 hours a week because the average caregiver provides about 24.4 hours of care per week. Just give us a little bit to leverage out of your life to make it a little bit easier, with an average of 250 transactions a week over 52 weeks, looking at about 2.5 million in 1 year for revenue. This is our team. I'm the founder and CEO. Jerome, unfortunately, I didn't see him come in, so he's not here. He's in Las Vegas, but he actually is a tech co-founder right now, working on another system for casino gambling companies. And then we have our advisory team, and we do have another developer who actually lives in Venice, Florida. So any questions? And by the way, Dr. Phil, my family was featured on Dr. Phil. That's my sister in the picture there. We did a segment about young caregivers where my sister talked about what it's like to be a caregiver every day. I can share that link to you if you want to watch it. And as far as how 1 million cups can help me, this is what I'm looking for, is basically investor contacts, nursing administrators, nursing program administrators, attorneys for corporate liability terms of agreement, letter of opinion, and a marketing company to actually do the development and execution of the go-to-market strategy. Yes, I have my degrees in communications and marketing. It's way too much for me to try to execute at this time. And obviously a corporate insurance broker. And I thank you guys so much for your time today. And I'll stop sharing. Any questions?
Well, Rebecca, this is Brian. You did a great job with the presentation. Information and the slides are very well thought out. You ended the presentation with what we could do for you, which is a question we normally ask anyway. So we'll ask that question again and think of anything else. What can our community do for you to help you out with your business?
Well, obviously, first things first, when we do launch the company and as we expand outside of Tampa Bay region and we add county by county or city region by city region, it would be great to have, people who can advocate for us and speak highly of our application. We don't have an official plan of what's going to be our next stop. We're going to obviously do a lot of research into what the Department of Health has as far as, numbers on disability people, and then also understanding where the seniors are immigrating from, into, and flowing throughout the state, so we can make sure that we actually utilize the correct, appropriate plan. But mostly it's a lot of our infrastructure portion of it, and being able to find investors, because like you saw in the presentation, we're looking at about 500,000 to get us to market. And that's including the beta testing and launch. So I've actually just been, knocking on doors. Don't have $500,000 in the back of my pocket, even though, yes, I'm an actor and model and have several other businesses. It's not in my pocketbook right at this moment, but we're looking for those investors that really have a passion about healthcare.
So I'll look around the room first to see if anyone has any comments or question or any insight you can help to provide. Rebecca, around the room, anyone?
Yes, great presentation, Rebecca. Yes, you did a really great job. So I was wondering if you had any kind of training through entrepreneurship programs down in South Florida there, Tampa area there.
Yeah, actually, I have my MBA from the University of Tampa. I did their executive program and graduated in 2018. And in 2019, the company was actually in the University of Tampa incubator program. I have applied to the Tampa Bay Wave Accelerator program, but I have not been accepted into their program, but I have been looking through what Tampa Bay Wave is part of, which is called GUST, and looking for other incubators and accelerators around the country that would focus specifically on early stage startups like ours for tech.
Okay, great. Have you participated in any pitch competitions or pitch competitions solely for women, anything like that?
I have not done any pitch competitions other than the ones with the incubator program. And I've also submitted for Tulane had one, so I submitted it, but I never got to actually do the pitch. It was more of the write-up portion than they did the final. But other than that, no, I have not done formal pitch competitions at all.
I think that's a good strategy based on the work especially with the target females.
Perfect. Yeah, I was when I was in the incubator program, I was kind of directed away from doing pitch competitions because they do take up a lot of time. And to just go after the investors. But I have been, like, anywhere I can get money. I'm a hustler, so I will hustle for money however I need to get the money.
FBDC, any questions? I'm sure you guys may have some insight or questions you may have.
Yeah. Hey, Rebecca, this is John. I had a quick question. You mentioned the 500,000 to take it from build to launch. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And what all does that come with? And how are you attracting the skilled labor for the providers that'll be going in and doing the services? So
with our marketing strategy, I've already been talking to nurses and people within our local community. I'm part of 3 Better Living for Senior organizations, which is part of the Area Agency on Aging, which is part of the Department of Aging for the state of Florida. So there's 3 networking groups I'm already part of. I've already started talking to CNAs that have taken care of my family members, nursing staff that have already taken care of my dad, who currently still take care of my dad. And just been slowly but surely talking to those people. But once we get the funds, we're going to do massive marketing targeting specifically on nursing sites. And I actually have a meeting with Hillsborough County Community College's nursing program administration to see if we can actually utilize the students as a clinical getting their clinical hours with our program and figuring out a way we can actually have that completed. So that would be actual legitimate nursing program people. So they could do a earn as you learn type of program.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions inside of the room? I know Patrick has a question, so.
Hey, Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today up here in Pensacola. One of our major industries is actually healthcare. So we have like a few hospitals, 3 or 4 in the 2-county area. So I think you're trying to fill a big need, and I commend you on your passion. A lot of entrepreneurs get started with a similar family experience or personal pain.
Yep.
So just wanted to make sure that you talked a little bit about Plan B. So if you can't find 500 grand, how creative have you gotten with attracting developers to take other instruments in lieu of cold cash?
My current business partner, he is actually on a percentage of equity. But he's a one-man person, and he currently has another startup company that is well-funded because his co-founder is a multimillionaire casino owner. So obviously this is a bootstrap situation. I have thought about doing crowdfunding and stuff like that, but I know for most families and people that I know, it's a financial struggle for them to try to contribute to help us out. I'm not one to ask friends and family directly. I feel that people who are investors, if they're the right investor, will not have to ask me every 5 minutes, you know, can I get my money back? Can I get my money back? Can I get my money back? I don't want that situation with family and friends to do that bootstrap funding first. So I'm going directly for investors who don't have that emotional tie to the money, but understand that I'm completely driven and passionate about this. If I told you guys the entire story of what has happened through my experiences as a caregiver, long distance caregiving as well, you would understand that there's no way I'm not going to complete this application at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, anything?
I do.
Jody? Okay.
Hey, Karen, Rebecca. Great presentation. You present really well, and should never be afraid to get in front of an audience again. I am kind of in the age bracket of women that you're going after. I'm 58 years old, and I have a lot of contemporaries who really feel like they've lost their life. They are getting to be empty nesters, and now they got to take care of their mom and dad, and their time's not coming. So I appreciate what you're doing for that perspective. But my thoughts are this. Sarah Blakely from Spanx is also from Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
I follow her on Instagram, and she is poking around doing some presentations of businesses in the Clearwater area. I watched one just 2 or 3 days ago, a small business that she's trying to highlight women business stuff. I also know that somebody here in town got a little grant from her, like a $5,000 grant she had. But you might want to just, some of this stuff is pulling at the heartstrings of people who have the kind of disposable cash you're hoping to get access to. And you might know a friend of a friend who can connect you and get in front of her. She knows a lot of people. Don't be bashful to kind of go after that angle. People fall into that stuff all the time. And the other thing I would recommend is going to like a larger organization or trying to get connected with a group like Lean In. She was the COO of Facebook, and she started a women-centric organization that blew up here several years ago. We had over 400 people show up to the initial meeting of that in Pensacola several years ago. But I would go right to the top for that stuff, because those people all have that stuff going on in their family. And network on a personal level. There are people, you'd be surprised who you know that knows people. You really would.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've talked to, this idea has actually been formulated for over 5 years, and I've talked to many, many people. It's just, finding the right person at the right time. And actually Sarah Blakely's on the board of directors for the incubator program at the University of Tampa. I haven't met her personally, but I know she does stop by once in a while. And I have been involved with a lot of female empowerment networking groups, women in networking in Tampa, especially. It's just, a matter of time and finding the right people. But I find for me, they're just not the right connections at this point. I'm just trying to go directly to investors themselves and being able to network through the investor route.
Okay. I will just tell you, I follow she and her husband on Instagram, and people send them stuff all the time, and they're promoting them. They are very connected to the entrepreneurial world. Think of something outside the box. Look at their personality. See what they're doing. Send them, she does little things with mugs all the time. Just look at their social media and see some way that you can send something that will catch her attention that maybe might spark a flame for you. That's all I got.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, if there's no more questions, we'll
We have
proceed on
questions
with
online, Brian.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jim.
All right, Karen, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Rebecca. This is Karen. It was a great presentation. Thank you. I may have missed it, but can you tell me, please, who you consider as your biggest competitor and just clarify again how you're different for me?
Sure. Our biggest competitors are going to be CareLinks, Honor, which is a new startup company that launched a couple of years ago. They just had a $250 million funding round. A Place for Mom and Care.com are going to be our major competitors. The difference with all of them is that they actually target creating a marketing list and selling that information and creating a marketing program for traditional in-home care agencies and nurse registry organizations. They say that they're on demand, but you still have to fill out a form and somebody will get back to you. We're completely direct. Like if you were going to get somebody on an Uber pickup, you can just go onto your phone, find who's available, lickety split, and be able to have somebody at your door pretty quickly and have complete transparency. And I'll tell you guys more about how the application works, where once you select somebody, you're not automatically assigned. You have the ability to look through everybody's resumes. You can check out their personalities. And then when you say, yes, I would like to talk to that person, it sends a ping to that care provider. That care provider starts a video chat conversation with you. So you actually have a face-to-face conversation with that care provider talking about the expectations of care. So before they even show up at the door, you know exactly what they're going to be providing as far as care level. They understand what your needs are, and that the transaction should go a lot smoother than it would be if they were just a traditional agency hire, where you pretty much only get the name.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Hey, Rebecca. Again, nice job on everything. As a consumer of these gig services, how are, like, I have someone that I got from one of the people you just mentioned, and we paid that system maybe 3 times before we kind of fell in love with the person. And then we just went direct with her. So how are you going to maintain your ongoing revenue?
So that's a good question. And everybody has asked me that. There's no way that we can control people doing direct hire, but the problem is that you're leaving yourself up to liability. When you have a direct hire, that you would hope that they would have insurance or liability or errors and omission type of insurance if there was something to happen to them or to your loved one in the process of being cared for. We're taking the approach of educating our consumers, saying that it's great that you want to direct hire people. That's cool and all, but do you understand what you're doing when you come off of the application? It's like hiring an Uber driver. Like I have Uber drivers handing me business cards all the time saying, hey, if you want me to pick you up, just let me know and I'll come and pick you up. You have to realize you're under their insurance. Now, do you know if they have the right kind of insurance, enough of a liability coverage? And if you don't understand that and you're just thinking, oh, it might be a little bit cheaper than going through Uber, it's really them trying to make more money out of their pocket, but it's really not providing you any additional security or safety.
Yep. So yeah, and sure, it's an ongoing challenge.
It
The
is.
savviness to understand those arguments against it are probably the opposite of what the people that do that are thinking. But
Yeah.
and obviously, like, we made sure they were bonded and insured through their own company before we.
Yeah.
That's an interesting challenge. So what other recurring revenues do you have to keep the providers loyal to you rather than going direct?
Well, other than we offer much more competitive rate than traditional in-home care agencies, we have that flexibility. There's really nothing with gig economy platforms that can say, you know, we'll pull you in. Obviously, we're looking at doing a referral structure that if a care provider refers another care provider in, we can provide a bonus or a benefit. I know that Uber and Lyft do, you know, bonus pricing where they'll actually have their drivers work on certain hours. And if you do so many hours of driving or so many miles of driving, they'll shoot you a bonus back to keep you working. We haven't created that kind of a structure yet. We don't have the ability to keep hemorrhaging money back to our care providers at this point, but that could be a possibility in the future, especially with, creating a point system, giving them free merchandise as well. That's why we're creating the branded merchandise so they can get, nursing scrubs or care supplies if they want to get care supplies, things like that.